Barnes. I feel like I just want to sing and shout your name. You are a beautiful ray of light in this world. Thank you for that.
Thank you. It's true. How are you?
I want God, I've been thinking about you and thinking about you in this conversation. And I was so excited to have this moment with you and be able to share it with our tribe. I was reflecting back to our first conversation, our first moment of being together. And you had said something so beautiful and profound. And I was thinking about it today. And it is about how you look at handling, air quote, life's setbacks
Mm.
and the courage to have it evolve you. Do you remember that?
Was it the story about the carrot, the egg, and the coffee bean?
Yes. Yes. Share it again.
Yes. So, long story short, there's a woman, and her daughter comes up to her and says, Mom, I'm having some trouble. I am not dealing with lifing, if you will. And her mother says, Come on into the kitchen. I want to have a heart to heart with you. She says, Go into the refrigerator and grab me an egg, a carrot, and some coffee beans. So the daughter does, and her mom sets out 3 pots of water on the stove. She turns the eye of each to high and boils the water. She tells her daughter to place the egg in one pot of boiling water, the carrot in another pot of boiling water, and then the coffee beans in the third pot of boiling water. And after about 5 minutes, she tells the daughter, pull out the carrot. What do you notice? And the daughter says, well, the carrot is limp. And she said, now pull out the egg, crack it, and what do you notice? And she said, well, the shell is hard and the inside is firm. And she said, before the carrot went in the water, describe the carrot. She said, well, it was strong, but now it's weak.
Mm,
And the daughter and the mother said, that's a lot like us. Sometimes when we're hit with hot water, like life, we are strong, but then when we're hit with hot water, we become weak and pliable. And she said, talk to me about the egg. And the daughter said, well, before it went in the water, the center was soft and fluid. And the mother said, what happened after it hit hot water, i.e., trouble? The daughter said, well, it became hard
mm,
and immovable. And the mother said, well, that's a lot like us. We hit hard water and we've become bitter.
mm,
And then she said, now talk to me about the coffee. What did the coffee look like before it went in? And the daughter said, well, it just looked like coffee. And the mother said, well, take some of the coffee and pour it into a mug. Smell it, taste it, talk to me about the coffee. And the daughter smelled it, tasted it, smiled, and said, it's delicious.
mm,
She said, when the coffee beans hit the water, the coffee beans changed the water.
mm,
So we have the option. When we hit hot water, we can be like the carrot and get soft. We can be like the egg and get bitter and hard. Or we can be like the coffee bean and change the world around us for the better.
mm,
So she asked her daughter, when life is lifing, are you going to be the carrot, the egg, or the coffee?
mm, God, I love that. God, I love that. Cynthia, as you're talking, and you know what, girl, this takes us right back to a hot second ago before we hit record when you said the most beautiful thing about there are no accidents, there
None.
are no mistakes. Can you share that again?
There are ways that the universe, God, spirit, to whom you reference your higher power, taps you on the shoulder, whispers in your ear, shouts from the mountaintops to let you know that he or she is there. You have to be listening and you have to be aware. But those moments are to wake you up and to make you realize that you're not alone.
Mm.
There are no mistakes. Those little coincidences you think, oh, I saw a three, or I saw, and that's my favorite number. That's not an accident. That's to remind you whatever it is that you want to think about. But it's a wake up call that, hey, someone's thinking about me.
Mm.
My grandmother loves butterflies. Every time I see a butterfly, it reminds me of her and it makes me smile.
Mm. Mm.
That is not an accident. Mel Robbins interviewed someone on her podcast, and they said if we took the time to notice all those simple moments, we would feel less alone,
Mm.
realize there are no coincidences. Those are just ways of God being anonymous.
Mm. Oh my God, Cynthia, I love that. I
Yeah.
love that. So I was having this whole moment as you're beautifully sharing the story about the coffee, the carrot, and the egg. Um, and we are recording this, y'all, on November 26th. And I feel like life has been lifing for me, my girl.
Yeah.
And just last week, I had this moment that was very crippling that I want to ask you about because I know I'm not alone in this. What do you do when something doesn't go the way you intended? So, for the first time in a long time that I can remember, Cynthia, I had this moment where I walked off a stage. It was 600 beautiful women in this room who I love and admire. And what I had intended to come out didn't come out the way that I thought.
Mhm.
And the first place that I went was the self-loathing gremlins.
Mm,
And it was very paralyzing. It was very interesting to me. And it broke open and it made me aware about this hunger for the validation
mhm,
that I've always looked for. And I would
mhm,
love to ask you when something happens, whether it's a conversation with a family member or whether it's something bigger on a stage or whatever that looks like, a client, like whatever that looks like, that doesn't go the way you intended, where do you go? And what have you learned through your journey to course correct?
The old me
Mm-hmm.
would have gone to the kick your own ass conference.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would have been first in line, first in line. I'm here for the ass kicking.
Yep.
Yep. And I'm going to start doing it myself.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm in line for gratitude
Mm.
because I'm grateful for the awareness that I didn't show up as intended. Because I have to be aware that, okay, if I didn't show up as I intended, why? Is it because I didn't prepare my intention ahead of time?
Mm.
Is it because I wasn't focused? Is it because I was vulnerable enough to let God intercede and have his way through me to say what he needed the audience to hear?
Mm.
And there's nothing wrong with that
Mm-hmm.
because sometimes I need to get out of my way so he can have his way. It's not all about me.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
So if I'm grateful for the good, the bad, and the ugly, that puts me in a mindset to be open to receiving the message. What's the lesson?
Mm.
And open to what's my role. If I did something bad, what's my role? If it
Mm.
didn't go according to plan, what's my role?
Mm.
If God stepped in and wanted a message to be heard to just one person, what's my role?
Mm. Mm. Mm.
So it's like a pattern interrupt. And for me, that pattern interrupt is stop, show gratitude. I am so happy and grateful I had the opportunity to get on this stage and deliver my message to 600 women. What am I feeling right now? Am I feeling disappointment? What am I feeling and why?
Mm,
Is that inner critic telling me I did a bad job? And then if the inner critic is telling me I did a bad job, number one, is it true? Did I do a bad job? Do I have evidence I did a bad job? Or is it just a feeling? Because feelings are fleeting.
mm,
And
mm,
I'm not going to make a decision based upon one data point.
mm,
Now, if the whole audience filled out a survey and said, you suck, then I'm going to ask, okay, why? But that
mm,
one data point, mm, then I'm going to ask, if it is true that I did do a bad job, is it helpful?
mm,
Is it true? Is it helpful? Chances are 9 times out of 10, no, it's not. And I let it go.
mm,
I have to start with a place of gratitude because that's my pattern interrupt. That
mm.
stops me from going down the rabbit hole, from stepping in line of the butt kicking.
I loved when you had said, first I start with awareness.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't feel like she gets enough street cred. Like I love when you said that because I think our knee jerk reaction, at least for me, historically has been to want to numb. So let me kick up the emails. Let me, try to find food, give me a shot, like whatever it is, the scrolling, whatever it is to not feel. And I love when you said, I gotta give myself that awareness, interrupt it, and then I allow that gratitude to come in.
Yeah.
Mm,
Not not dealing with the emotion sets us up for repeat performance.
yeah.
And we don't learn the lesson.
I want to talk to you about that because I got to tell you, um, and here's to the lesson. It is so interesting to me. I was raised by a beautiful single mother, amazing woman, 23, two kids by herself, so much strength. And Cynthia, now at 40, I can look back and see like we never talked about the hard stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I never really had an emotional toolkit to ever talk about anything uncomfortable. And I
Mm.
became a runner and a number at a young age to just go to the comfort. And I'm curious, as you evolve the beautiful gift of you and help women speak their truth and their courage and receive, how have you found to adapt and evolve and allow yourself to sit in the uncomfortable emotions that come up and not try to numb them?
Ooh, I love what you said about the number and the runner because
Yeah.
I have a pair of running shoes every day of the week. Um, yeah, I'm a runner. I used
Mm-hmm.
to run away from problems. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, literally pack up and leave a city because something didn't go right. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Number, I used food as my numbing agent.
Mm-hmm.
I tried everything under the sun to get away from that addictive behavior of numbing with food until I didn't. And I forced myself to actually say, what am I feeling? And if I didn't have food to numb the feeling, I would have to deal with it. And it's uncomfortable. So I started identifying my feelings, and everything came back to fear.
Mm-hmm.
But then I thought, well, what if it's not fear? What if we could call it something deeper than fear? So there is this diagram, if you will, and it's a wheel, and each feeling is attached to a deeper feeling so that you can say level 1, level 2, level 3. And so I started to identify and name the feelings based upon the root of the feeling. It was life changing. So no longer did I deal with surface level feelings. I now deal with the root: shame, regret, Okay, so let's journal about that. What am I ashamed of?
mm,
Why do I not want to show up on social media?
mm, mm.
Let's deal with it. I am learning so much about myself. It's almost scary.
And do you feel like, Cynthia, that courage to get to know you, do you feel like you found that through the power of the pen? Like, what has been one of your best areas as you get curious and think, okay, well, what is the root of this? And you start to dig deeper. How have you allowed yourself to release that? Or does that evolve as the situation evolves? Can you talk us through that?
I journal a lot. And the catalyst was I was sick
Mm,
of, I felt like I didn't know who I was because I grew up in a town where I was the only black. And I learned to assimilate in corporate America. I learned to code switch. And it got so bad that when people would ask me my opinion, my first knee jerk reaction was to say, well, who wants to know? My opinion was dependent upon who I was giving the answer to because I didn't have my own thought. It was contingent on who was across the table.
mm,
And I thought, isn't that strange? Isn't that strange? So when someone would say, well, what are your values? Well, who wants to know? And I realized I didn't have a set of values. I didn't have a mission statement based upon me. And I said, that's no way to live.
mm,
So I wanted to know, what do I value? What do I hold true? What what do I consider the components of making a life or creating a life worth living? What is it that when I say my life is flourishing, what does that look like for me? Because I spent decades pleasing everybody else and spent zero time pleasing myself. I thought that pleasing everybody else was making me happy. But if someone were to say, well, Cynthia, what are your hobbies? I couldn't say, well, what my hobbies were without somebody else doing them.
mm,
I was doing something else with somebody else.
mm,
So I made the decision to be by myself, to get to know myself. So I walked away from a marriage that was preventing me from flourishing, preventing me from being my best self.
mm, mm,
And it was hard. But I knew, my dad said to me, Cynthia, the older you get, the fewer opportunities you have to start over. He said, at 52, you can count on your hand the amount of times you get to start over. So if you're going to start over and find yourself, now is the time. So I did. And it broke my heart to walk away from my marriage. But I also knew that I could not bring my best self to anyone if I didn't know myself,
mm,
if I was just playing a role of whomever they wanted me to be. So as I find myself and I discover myself and what I like and what I don't like and what my values are and what my wants and my needs are, I can now make decisions that are in line with my values, wants, and needs.
Mm.
And when I do that, then I'm flourishing.
Mm. Oh my God, that's beautiful. Girl, I gotta tell you, as you're talking, I'm flashing through my own journey of being so hidden behind that mask. Who would get me the validation? Who did I need to be to get you to like me? And I loved when you said I didn't know who I was. I didn't know who I was for a damn long time. I had no opinion. To your point, whoever was on the receiving end of that conversation, I would say, I would do, I would act in how I thought I needed to be to get the validation
Yeah.
from you. And I would love to ask you, my beautiful friend who has had to get all this damn courage, dig deep for it, to get to know you at this point at 52 and the evolution of you and the courage to walk it, hear it, and take action on it. What would your advice be to our beautiful listener that is sitting there now? She's like, dang, I know that I am meant for more. I don't know who I am, but I know that this current way I'm living my life, it's not, I'm meant for more. I am meant for more than this. Where does
Yeah.
she start?
It starts with realizing you are worthy of discovering who you are, and that no matter what you try, you can try all the affirmations and self help courses and books and lotions and potions and all that good stuff. You will not do the work until you feel you are worthy of the change. You
Mm-hmm.
won't do it.
Mm-hmm.
I had to realize, despite whatever they told me, that I was worthy. And once I realized I was worthy, everything changed. And people would say, Cynthia, you are worthy. Your self esteem is so high. I didn't feel worthy. But somebody said to me, Cynthia, you don't have to do anything to be worthy.
Mm.
You just are. And I said, what do you mean? I spent my entire childhood proving that I'm enough. I would even say to myself, I am enough without even trying. And I still didn't believe it. But one day I woke up and they said to me, God said that you are worthy because you have air in your lungs.
Mm.
And that is the only requirement. And that stuck with me. I didn't have to do, I didn't have to be, I didn't have to say anything. If I have lungs that have air, I'm worthy.
Mm. Mm.
I'm worthy. Not deserving. I'm worthy.
Oh,
I have
wow.
goosebumps just saying that. I'm worthy.
Oh, wow.
And
I,
my word, yeah, that's non-negotiable. I'm
oh
worthy.
my God. I'm just
And so
flashing to my own as you're talking, I'm like sitting in my own marinade of that. Because I gotta tell you, Cynthia, my girl, I don't think I've ever sat in the fact that my worth to myself is not contingent on the achievement or the approval or the validation of others. My entire life it's been that. And I love that. And Cynthia, as you're talking, I love how you bring up God and your spiritual connection. For so long in my journey, I ran from any connection with anything higher than myself. I went to church with my grandmother. It's so funny how you can become brainwashed to something and not even see it. I went to church with my grandmother, not a nice person. We don't have a relationship to this day. And I think I know, it made me so uncomfortable. It made me flash back to those church moments with her where I felt very uncomfortable as a little girl. And I ran from it. And I felt no connection to anything higher than myself until my deepest, darkest moments when I feel that then you have this beautiful way into tapping into things that you left dormant. And
Yes.
that's where I found my spiritual connection, which has given me so much faith and courage. And I would love to ask you, in your own spiritual journey, or for a woman listener who is looking for a connection to something higher than themselves, and maybe they haven't tapped into that in a long time, any recommendation on where they can start to get curious in that aspect of their life, or anything that you've done that has really helped build that drawer in your life to give you this foundation?
It's interesting you should ask that. I, my higher power is God.
Mhm.
Not everyone subscribes to that, and that's okay. What I encourage is you find something to believe in that is bigger than you. And please do not stop searching until you find it. Because when you hold on to something bigger than yourself, it's like it's like having that big brother or big sister that when times get really tough, you know you can go to them and say, this bully at school needs to be put in their place. And you know your big sister or big brother, all you've got to do is just say the word and they're going to fight your battles for you.
Yeah.
Your higher power, whatever he or she looks like, is there to fight your battles for you.
Mm,
I know unequivocally, without a shadow of a doubt, that the doors that I need to have opened, that the battles that I don't even know going on behind the
mm,
scenes are all handled by my higher power. And that gives me comfort
mm.
because I don't have to do it all myself because I can't. I can't fight battles that I can't see. I can't fight entities that are too big for me. But that higher power and I together, we can do all things. We can do anything. And knowing that my higher power and yours too has given you everything you need to accomplish your wildest dreams is encouragement unlike any other.
Mm.
So find your higher power, believe in that higher power, and know and believe. Yeah.
Oh, that's beautiful. You know, Cynthia, as you're talking, I have to tell you, so I have this black bracelet that I wear all the time. And 3 years ago, I was, to your point earlier, well, what you look for and the messages and receive them. I was in this room with this beautiful woman. And Cynthia, she put her arm around me. And she said to me, Meg, let me tell you something. Building this movement, being out in the world with it, it is going to stretch you in ways you never knew you could be stretched. You are going to question yourself. The gremlins are going to emerge. And she said, and I want you to remember this. If you knew who walked beside you, you would never be fearful. And she put this little bracelet on my wrist, and it says God is big enough.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Mm.
Isn't that
So,
encouraging?
oh, every time. And this is what I think is so beautiful about, well, one of the many things I love so much about women, and what I think about our friendship is when you are intentional And when you put down your own mask, which it sounds easy, but it's hard as all hell, and when you
Mhm.
allow yourself to be vulnerable, when you allow yourself to be real, when you curate a tribe of women that meet you where you're at that moment in your journey, the strength it gives you and the courage.
Yes. Yes.
And you're a big advocate. And I love this so much about you. One of the many things I love about you about curating hype tribes and women empowerment. And I love your movement. I love your movement about thank you, it's true. Can you tell us about that?
4 years, I have not been the most confident
Mm,
woman for many, 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 many reasons. And I recently did a TED Talk on confidence, ownership of compliments, deflection of compliments, and reverse engineering of compliments so that we can supercharge self esteem.
mm,
And what I found is, you know how when you pay a woman a compliment, we will deflect, oh, these earrings, mm, I got them on sale at Target.
mhm,
Or my shoes, got them on sale at the thrift store.
mhm,
We deflect compliments like they're hot potatoes
mhm,
for a number of reasons. Could be our self esteem is low, could be societal norms because we're taught to be humble and modest, could be a myriad of factors, which it's really no big deal, but it kind of is a big deal.
mhm,
Because when we get into the workforce and our boss compliments us on a project well done, and we deflect it saying things like, oh, I just got lucky, or it was a team effort, we are sending subconscious signals to our boss that we cannot handle or should not be in line for the next promotion.
mm,
We're also sending messages to the next generation of women
mm,
that to own our awesome, i.e., take credit for our hard work, is not important. So we're sending messages generations and generations and generations that to be a strong, capable woman in the workforce is not a good thing. That to
mm,
dim our light so others can shine is the way to go. And I
mm,
want to stop that.
mm,
So I realized that the women in Uganda, East Africa, they don't deflect compliments. They very simply say, thank you, it's true. So, what that looks like at work is, thank you, Tom, it's true. I did lead that project to success with the help of my team. You see, you can give credit to your team and take the credit yourself. It's an and type of conversation, not an or. But thank you, it's true, allows you to accept the compliment and own the compliment as well. That ownership creates a confidence loop and skyrockets your self esteem. Therefore, we are creating new neural pathways in the brain. So now we are increasing our self esteem. So that is what I study, and that is what I go into companies and help them do, skyrocket self esteem through neuroplasticity.
mm. God, I love that. You know, I was reading something, I think it was by Sean Aker, and he was just talking about how when someone gives you a compliment, and to your point, girl, when we are so quick to just to shield that compliment, to shove it away, to discredit it, to your point about the ripple impact of it, that you stop it right then and there because there is a beautiful ripple impact that then can go through a through line. Like if you accept it and then you carry it forward, and now people are watching you, whether you know it or not, and then
Yes.
mimicking you. And so I love that example because there's so much power in that micro moment decision
Yes.
to say thank you, it's true.
Yes. Yes.
Cynthia, I have to ask you, so November 26th, we are heading into the holidays, which can be very
Mhm.
triggering for so many people.
Yes.
And I was just having a conversation with a girlfriend of mine about how family can trigger us in ways that, girl, my family doesn't even need to say jack shit, and I'm already like on edge. So when we go into those situations with our family, and whether it's the backhanded compliment,
Mhm.
right? Whether it is the asking about the job or the relationship or, losing the weight or whatever it is that is
Whatever.
triggering,
Whatever.
whatever. What's your recommendation? Like, where do you go so you don't let it spiral you? Any recommendations?
Yes. Yes. Um, First thing, my friend Justin has a book called I Respectfully Disagree.
Mm,
Pick it up because if you can respectfully disagree and have those conversations, it will save whatever relationship you are trying to save. Get that book. Number two, my favorite is if things are getting tense, I have to go to the bathroom.
mm,
Excuse me 1 second. I have to go to the bathroom. Then I go to the bathroom. I put my hand on my chest and I breathe. And then if all else fails and I'm feeling really confident in myself, which is more and more these days,
mm,
I look them in the eye, I cock my head just a little bit, and I smile and I say, that's a really interesting question. Why do you ask?
mm,
Because 9 times out of 10, it's none of their business
mm,
when I'm having kids,
mm,
when I'm getting married,
mm,
why I got separated, where I'm working, how much money I make,
mm,
on and on and on. And by asking, that's an interesting question. Why do you ask? It forces them to think about why are they asking? And they most likely will figure out number one, it's inappropriate as hell.
mm,
And number two, they're not going to say, well, I'm just being nosy.
mm.
Hmm, that's
I
an
love it.
interesting question. Why do you ask?
God, I love that. And I love those micro tools. It's easy. Three things that you can do in a micro moment decision to
Yep,
step into your power.
yep.
Cynthia, I want to ask you, because girl, I could have you on here all dang day. Can you believe we've been sitting across this kitchen table from each other for 45 minutes? Girl, isn't it amazing when you are having the right conversation with the right people, how it goes like this?
Right?
Right? That's how you know it's like the right people.
I'm going to have to
So,
come back.
yes, you are, girl. Yes, you are. So I want to ask you, how can we find out more about the work that you do? How can we work with you? How can we find out more about this thank you movement that you're doing? Like, tell us more how we can work with you, how we can find out more about you, how we can get the gift that is you into our homes, our hearts, our companies, the rooms we're in. Talk to us about that.
Right now, I am working with Vanderbilt University on a project to gain the empirical evidence to back up the thank you, it's true movement. There's a lot of work and a lot of people talk about confidence, self esteem, things like that, but it's not empirically based.
Mm,
So we are working to get the tangible empirical data that says when you say thank you, it's true, here is how it affects quantifiably.
mm,
Yeah. So to me, that's important because I've had enough of fluff.
yeah,
I've had enough of fluff. And a lot of people have too.
yeah.
So we are partnering with companies. So if you are a leader and you want to work with us and have the women on your team work with us for some of the studies, the longitudinal studies to see the impact of the confidence loop, reach out to me and let me know. I'm always open for speaking engagements, talking about the confidence loop and the acceptance theory. So, speaking engagements. And I love to connect on LinkedIn. So, connect with me on LinkedIn. Let's have a conversation, solve the world's problems.
Mm.
So, through speaking engagements, I'm starting a global movement where thank you, it's true is the norm. Oh, and I know someone out there has a connection to Oprah, Michelle Obama, Kamala, Pitbull, and Viola Davis. So Megan and I are going to host a dinner party, and those are the people I would like to have at our dinner party, Meg.
Mm.
So I'm putting it out there,
Mm. Freaking mic drop. Can we
right?
just talk about let's stop holding ourselves back from shit. Speak it.
Yes,
Oh my,
yes,
I love it, girl. I am here for it all damn day. And y'all, I am gonna link Cynthia's LinkedIn hashtag or whatever we get your LinkedIn profile in the show notes. You just click right on that bad boy. It'll take you to the gift of Cynthia and what she's putting out into the world. Please stay engaged with her and
yes,
please bring her into the rooms that you're in with the women that you stand beside. I can see this being powerful with new women employees. I can see this being powerful with women customers. I can see this being
yes.
powerful in all arms of stakeholders. What a beautiful gift to just connect as women. I love it, girl. I love you. Thank you for bringing your gifts into the world, for the courage to reinvent yourself, to the courage to find the lessons in all of the shit and to face it and to take the lessons and now turn your pain into your passion. It is a gift to hold your hand. I love you.
I love you. Thank you.